What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Money Moves with K. I am K, and today we're going to talk about or react to a video that I saw that I wanted to share with you guys and kind of give my feedback and opinions about so that you can have resources and tools in order to navigate a situation like this a little better. I'll be honest, this couple, they're moving from North Dakota, and this couple basically I think they did a lot of things correct. I don't think it was their fault what happened to them, but we'll kind of see what happened, and I'll kind of give you some commentary on my opinion.
It seemed like the perfect spot to build their home, but now a couple relocating from North Dakota discovered they can't build a thing.
It's because of an unusual utility right-of-way easement that they didn't know about when they bought the vacant land. Consumer investigator Shannon Benkin joins us live in studio tonight to explain. Shannon.
Josh, Stacey, I have covered real estate for decades. I've never come across an easement issue quite like this one. Donna Hart.
So first of all, what is an easement? An easement basically, and in this case, there was a utility easement, but easements in general allow access to. So an easement for this couple meant that the utility company had rights to the property, to use the property through something called eminent domain, which it sounds like for me when I listen to the story. Eminent domain basically is when you're using private property for public use. So that's what the utility company was doing in order to use this particular land. However, this couple didn't know about it. And we're going to kind of go through some steps or things you can do to try to prevent yourself from kind of being in this position. So yeah, I'll let it keep playing.
Her husband were excited in January when they bought this lot for $17,500, nestled between Islewood Drive and Rich Barn Road in Brooksville.
All right. So I don't know. When I first heard this story, I thought that that could have been a red flag. The fact that the property was $17,500, which is subjective as far as what's cheap and what's not. But in today's market, that's a fairly good deal. So when I heard that they purchased a property for $17,500, I instantly thought, like, what's wrong with the property, right? But we don't necessarily know, and I didn't look. I guess I could have, but I don't necessarily know the comps in the area. So I don't know if that's average cost for properties or land in that particular area. Again, this is Florida, so I'm not sure. However, if it's not, that could have been a red flag because you're moving to a different location and you see this property. It's an excellent deal from just seeing online, but you don't necessarily know what's behind the covers, right? Or what's under the covers. So that could have been a red flag to begin with, but we'll proceed.
Wanted to have some privacy, not be, stranded out in the country. We just felt this was the perfect match.
The real estate listing described the property as your dream home's canvas. The couple hired a builder to draft plans and did their homework with Hernando County government.
I was getting the green light on everything. My property was being brought up on the GIS map with the county. I got my setbacks, what I couldn't do. I could bring a mock.
So quick note, we've built a property from ground up, a new construction property, and a setback is basically how far from the road or your property line that your dwelling needs to be. So if it's 100 feet from the road, then in 100 feet from your property line, then you can't necessarily build like 20 feet from the road, right? It's a safety issue and other reasons why they may need to have setbacks within zoning. It's a zoning requirement. So keep that in mind. So setbacks, that's what a setback is.
Home and a mobile home, or I could do a single family residence.
Back in January, there was a slender wooden utility.
Okay. So let me replay that part again because I think it's vital for you to hear what she said as far as what the property was zoned for. Because the property was zoned for residential and some other things. But listen.
Modular home and a mobile home, or I could do a single family residence.
Back in January, there was a slender wooden utility pole on the land, which they say they thought would sit just behind their new home. When the couple arrived last month, they found this, a large concrete Duke Energy transmission pole, along with many others up and down the area.
Came to our property on.
So, first of all, it's zoned, again, like I just said, for a single family home or mobile home. And they had high hopes of using that particular land for their use. And she said they wanted to be secluded and, not be bothered. And as I can see from this angle, it's a pretty nice piece of land aside from the utility pole there. But another thing I wanted to mention is that they had came back. They're not from the area, so they had came back a month later, which is natural, right? They may have not moved to the area yet. So I'm not saying that that's necessarily anything that they could have avoided. But make sure that you check on your property. A month in this particular case could have been too long, but check on your property if you can. I know their situation is a lot different, and I don't know the behind the scenes circumstances they had, but keep that in mind. Make sure you're checking on your property, especially vacant lots. I see a lot of news reportings on a lot of vacant lots just being scooped up, and I'll do another video on how to kind of avoid that as well, or try to avoid it the best you can. But keep that in mind. And that another red flag for me is that she or her husband, both of them, saw a wooden, I guess it was a wooden stake or something, sounded like, that was placed there. And they thought, oh, no problem. It'll sit in the back of our yard, so it's not a big deal. But it was a big deal.
November 11th, and saw that pole behind us and went, whoa, whoa, whoa. And a neighbor happened to stop by and introduce themselves and said, I don't know what you're doing here, but Duke Energy has an easement over your entire property, and you will never be able to build here.
Donna tells me she had numerous conversations with confused county workers who at first told her they could still build. But after she reached Duke Energy, she tells me she was provided this document that was filed in 1955, prohibiting buildings or structures within 100 feet of this right-of-way.
So we came back.
Guys, you don't know how mad I would be if this happened, because it's unfair. For some, it's unjust as well. So let's break this down. So again, they coming from, I think, North Dakota. They come down to Florida, and they are with high hopes, just coming to visit their property, their land. And they see this big concrete utility pole, and they were told by a neighbor. That's another kicker. Make sure that you talk to your neighbors, especially in this situation. It doesn't hurt to talk to your neighbors because they know the area, especially if they lived there for years. And I always advise this in my prior videos as well. You never know what they know. So contact them, just be friendly, because you are moving to the neighborhood, right? So just be friendly. Say, hey, how you doing? Introduce yourself, but also ask about the property as well. Even before you purchase the property. Hey, what do you know about the land? Oh, the neighbor could reply like, oh, that land was given to, blah. They'll tell you all kinds of stuff about the property. But make sure you talk to your neighbors, because they know. And in fact, the neighbor came up to this particular couple and was like, yeah, the neighbor said, I don't know what you're doing here. That's horrible, guys. That's so bad. And what that not foul, but this document appears to be the deed, which is another one of my tips. And I know that because I'm looking at the very top and it says book number. So make sure before you buy a home or a piece of land that you look at the actual deed and read it thoroughly. And I would also advise you to ask the lawyers too during this process, or the title company who was doing the title search, which again, what happened with the title search with this particular property in order for it not to, for this kind of to get away from them. But I don't know all the details, so I'll keep it for what I know. This is a deed. So looking at the deed prior to purchase yourself, not just relying on title company or lawyers to do it, looking at the deed yourself can kind of give you some insight on what's behind the scenes and see what's going on, because there was an easement placed on this property in 1955 saying that no one can build within 100 feet of the utility poles, and their property line, as you'll see, falls within that. So keep that in mind.
55, prohibiting buildings or structures within 100 feet of this right-of-way.
So we came back with our wheel and spray paint, and turns out, You cannot build 100 feet in any direction of that pole, which leads us to this tiny corner here of maybe 600 square feet. And you can't even build a small home because your septic and well have to be so far away from the home. So that leaves nothing.
The property is zoned for agricultural or residential use, yet the Hartles can't build a residence. Still, they are stuck paying taxes on this land used by the utility company.
They're still paying taxes on the land that the utility company is. Man, it's so many things that went wrong with this property, and it's not necessarily the couple's fault. They did what they knew to do: go through a title company or a lawyer, close the property, and hopefully, title search is done and everything, which I do believe it was. But again, okay. So here's another tip as well, because I'm getting upset for them, right? So another tip is to ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions. Ask the real estate agent. Ask the, you get more information from the real estate agent saying, hey, why are they selling? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are they selling for? You get a better idea of what is going on with the property and the actual owner, because the owner more than likely knew about this utility easement, because typically if they were the original owners that the utility company contacted, a lot of times they do get payment from it, right? Sometimes they don't. But the kicker here is, and you'll hear, and I'll let it play, the kicker here is that the utility company, I don't believe they own the property at all. They just have the rights to use the property, which is the easement part, right? And they can use it because of eminent domain, which is, this is a tough one, guys. That's exactly why I wanted to react to it, because this is a tough one. But again, make sure you look at the deed, ask questions, talk to your neighbors, call the utility company. That's a good tip. Call the utility company prior to even purchasing it, just to cover all your bases from as much as you can. But yeah.
To unpack here, I'm looking into why this didn't come up during the sales process and what was disclosed by the sellers. In the meantime, I spoke with Hernando's assistant property appraiser, and he tells me that this is a very large easement. It's very unusual, and his office did not know about it until the Hartles notified them. Now they have decided to lower the property value by 50% to just $6,691.
What?
Oh, this is a bad one.
You've never seen something like that.
No.
Wait.
$691.
Oh, this is a bad one.
So you mean to tell me they purchased the property for $17,500 after doing all this process, getting another appraisal pretty much? Now the property value is lowered to $6,000? What? And so that is where everybody's upset. If you're not upset by this is crazy, because and they're still paying they're going to have to pay the taxes unless they sell it, which is another thing. Another thing that's problematic here is that now it's even more difficult to sell when the value of the property is only $6,000. So if they wanted to put it back on the market for to try to recoup anything, which they probably can't, just because, in my opinion, just because the property is valued lower now because of the easement. There's no use for the land. That's not the utility company's fault either, in my opinion, just because they probably had an agreement with the prior owner. And I just want to know why the prior owner didn't say something. But I mean, everybody's not so honest, right? And they could have been honest. I don't know what happened, so I can't say. But I just know that this is a bad situation. And please, please, please be careful when you're purchasing these properties, because anything can happen. And this is just a case of making sure you do your due diligence accordingly. And again, I like I said, I think that the couple did their best. It can happen to anybody. Like the appraiser said, or the county said, this is a rare thing. But I do want to know why zoning wasn't more specific to that as well. So, all right, I'm upset now. But thank you so much for getting to this point of the video. You know what to do. What I want you to do in the comment section, if you made it this far in the video, type I don't know. If you made it to this point, type utility. Okay, so type utility in the comments if you made it to this point. It lets me know that you made it here. I'm losing train of thought because I'm upset for this couple. I hope they can try to recoup their money somehow. But until next time, you guys stay blessed. Peace.